Red Ray Gun Limited presents
The Benji and Nick Show. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Good morning.
Good day.
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good to be here.
Good night.
Good heavens.
Good gracious.
Good gravy.
Good nodules.
Good tidings.
Goodness.
A Loch Ness.
Spent force. That was the Loch Ness game. It's not a game, and it's not about Loch Ness.
But this is the Benji and Nick Show, your number one vintage TV podcast in the known world. Not the unknown world, the known world.
What?
And what is it? Well, I suppose we talk about TV from the past, TV you might remember, TV you might want to forget. We look over it all, we work it all out, and we give you our views. However, not so much today. We're doing something a little bit different today. Something we've not done for a long time. Nick, what are we doing today?
What are we doing? Well, I'd just like to say that I'm not Benji.
And I'm not Nick.
Yes, we're talking about what we've been watching recently. So there's a bit of vintage television in there, but,
Mishmash of new and old, I suppose.
Yeah,
really.
The Boys. Don't know what that is. Ted Lasso. It's on Apple TV, isn't it? Farscape.
I've not actually got a lot to say about Farscape. I've got more to say about Star Wars, but we'll yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's on the list. Gangster Squad.
Oh, cool.
Star Wars. Despecialized. Yes.
Yeah.
Wallander. I think it's called La Révolution.
Sounds nice and French.
It's a French thing on Netflix. Le Netflix.
Le Netflix.
Our special guest reviewer, Shelley Dean, will be joining us direct from the US of A to share her heavily researched, noted and collated views. She'll be along after we do the emails. Jamie Anderson, who often pops in, is a no-show. But here is a specially recorded message from him.
Hello Benji, Nick and Shelley. I'm sorry I can't be with you, but I am currently washing my hair. That was a joke. Real Jamie doesn't have any hair. Ho ho ho, the bald idiot. In case you didn't know, this is actually an artificial intelligence pretending to be Jamie, mimicking his voice. It's pretty good, isn't it? Have a great show. Real Jamie is sorry he can't be with you.
Thank you, Jamie. That was uncanny, though, wasn't it?
It's a
that
very
AI.
clever bit of kit, isn't it, really? The laugh gave it away, and I suppose the deadness of the whole... Ha ha ha, that wasn't very funny. But in terms of, the voice, the vocal sound, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, you can get people in a lot of trouble with software like that.
Oh, the future is all about the deep fake, isn't it, I think, really?
It is.
Terrifying.
Wow. And there's a lot of that in First Action Bureau, that the free drama podcast that Jamie...
Get on it.
A little bit of an advert there for you. That's advert. In a moment, your emails sent to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. But first, Patreon.
Yes, there we go. For those who have been listening for a long time will know that this has been an idea that we've been teasing. But we're at the stage now where we're sort of dotting the I's and crossing the T's and getting together our Patreon. So we're not quite there yet, but we will be there soon.
There might be some people listening who don't know what Patreon is.
Yes.
I mean, do you say Patreon or Patreon?
Or Patreon?
Patreon.
Patreon sounds like a face cream. Patron, Armand. Whatever that means. It's basically, Patreon is a way in which that you can get more out of the Benji and Nick Show. So there's a selection of different tiers in which you pay different amounts of money. Obviously, it goes from a very minimum fee to then going upwards, and we'll be adding in lots of little extras, things like a video version of the podcast, some exclusive merchandise, a Discord channel as well.
What's a Discord channel?
A Discord channel is a place where you can have a chinwag with all your friends. Loads of Benji and Nick Show listeners will have their own community to chat. We'll drop in now and again and say hello and answer questions and things. And we've also got the after show parties, haven't we, Nick?
That's right. We're going to chat about things after the show, and on various tiers you'll have access to that. There'll also be, I think, did you mention discounts on merchandise? And
I mentioned there will be some exclusive merchandise, but certainly not the discounts on merchandise.
Well, yeah, there'll be various levels of discount on the various tiers. But the Patreon thing, basically you go to the Patreon site. What is the address of it? Do we know? Is it something like patreon.com? And you go there, and you'll be able to find a Benji and Nick show page. And that's when you go on and you can sign up if you like. It will be a way of supporting us and making sure that we can give you even more exciting content. That's our aim.
It certainly is. And, there's lots of other things. I mean, one of them, for example, is an exclusive audio series, which we'll be doing twice monthly, which will be really exciting. So, yeah, keep your eyes, ears and your nose peeled for that one.
Yeah, we were just having a little meeting about that this morning.
Very exciting.
It was amusing me. So, job done, really. Also, you might like to have a look at nicholasbriggs.com. Part of the Patreon thing will be that you'll be able to get discounts from my store at at nicholasbriggs.com. Sorry, I just fell into another podcast. I got podcast slippage. And we'll be making sure we put more things on that site so there'll be more interesting merchandise for you to be able to get discounts on. I'm going to be doing at some point downloads of some of the music I've done. I'll be selling those, so that might be
There's lots of nice little stuff to look at on there.
So anyway, nicholasbriggs.com. I mean, have a look now if you fancy. See if there's anything you want to buy. We're not going to go into it. No, I'm not.
There's lots of stuff.
I'm not going into it. No.
A good arsenal of bits and bobs on there.
Arsenal. Little Morecambe and Wise joke for you. What about? Should we look at the emails?
Certainly, yes, and you can send your emails in to us via the email address podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. We'll go through them, pick a few out, and it might be you who gets your email read out on here. Do you want to read this first one, Nick?
Okay, yeah. What's this? Utter Bobbins, it's called. From Thomas Hodden. Gents, thank you ever so much for attending the gala opening of the Message of Paradoxical and Enigmatic Devices. I should mention, by the way, this was sent on the 20th of October in the year 1614.
Fantastic, yeah.
It was certainly an interesting experience that the board are unlikely to forget. There are a few little matters we should attend to. Firstly, I apologise for the unusual manner of Her Royal Highness's dress. Apparently her e-invite was accidentally set with "come as you are" for the dress code, which is something of a novelty for HRH. So much so that she took it somewhat literally when she read the invitation dressed down for a quiet night with a six-pack of curry and the Crown on
My kind of
Netflix.
monarch.
Secondly, I have been asked to remind you that we did warn you not to use cameras around Nessie. And I'm afraid the event we shall not mention is her natural reaction to being startled. I see.
That happens, yeah.
What a mess. Thirdly, our time machine seems to have been dented, and on closer inspection, we found 2 half-eaten kebabs in the glove box, and Boadicea passed out on the back seat with Theodore Roosevelt. Now,
they do get on well.
Far be it from me to accuse you of anything. I would like to know why the pair of you can now be seen in several of our archive photographs joyriding through Roswell on hovercrafts, arm wrestling Abraham Lincoln, and dressing Queen Victoria in a moo cow onesie.
She fit it well.
Let's hope she was amused. So, is there anything you want to tell me? Lastly, whichever of you two borrowed the monkey's paw, kindly cut it out! Have you seen 2020?
It's true.
Just leave well enough alone before it gets any worse. Yours, T.E. Hodden.
It's the truth.
T.E.
Can't get much worse, can it?
No.
We've got another one here from Carol Techesno. Sent on the 18th of the 10th, 2020, the year of our Lord 803.
Wow.
It's a long time ago.
Going back a bit there, Carol, yeah.
Yeah. The subject on this one is podcast 10/17/2020. Very literal, I like it. Dear Benji and Nick, I absolutely love your podcast. I was trying so hard not to laugh too loudly, my eyes were starting to tear up. Well, tear up. God. No, tear up. I'd never heard of Dick Spanner, but oh my god, did they really have horrendous puns like that?
Yes.
I mean, last time I saw something with puns like that was that movie with Michael Myers where they are spoofing the spy movie genre. That's whatchamacallit, isn't it? Austin Powers. It reminded me of that one scene at the end where the lady holding up the cantaloupes, melons, in front of her about breast height, and that character, what's his name, Austin Powers, ask whoever they're talking to on screen, melons. I think I smacked my forehead on that one. It was so cheesy. You know, it's a classic gag, that one. Shelley mentioned something about a poster with the number 69 on it, and I just rolled my eyes at the adolescent and heavy-handed pun humour. But you guys had me cracking up quite a bit. I can't wait to see what the next podcast will bring. This is much better than the Mystery Science Theatre 3000. I haven't watched that in a long time. I've just about caught my breath again. I better stop before I start giggling again. Thanks for the laughs, Carol D. P.S. Have you ever watched the UFO series? I saw Amazon Streaming had it available. I believe we've done a podcast on it, haven't we?
Did we do a podcast on UFO?
I'm pretty sure we did. I'll Google it, but we don't even know what we've done. I think we have, though.
Do you know what you've done?
Yes, we have.
Have we really?
We did it on...
That's right, because we did the whole thing about George Sewell's sex pest character.
Of course we did. Can't leave that one out.
Alec Friedman, wasn't it? Yeah, he's going, I bet you do.
Oh, my God.
All right, ladies. Yeah. What's it? Cybermen or Cybernauts is the title of the next one. Cybermen or Cybernauts. This was sent a little while back, and I didn't manage to squeeze it in the last podcast. It's sent on the 13th of October in the year 0038 from Neil Allen. Hello, Neil. Hi guys, your discussion last week about the Avengers episode The Cybernauts got me thinking about their cousins the Cybermen and how similar they are in the shows they appeared in when first on our TV screens. Both the Avengers and 10th Planet were in black and white, and both had their cyborgs wearing disguises, with Roger the Cybernaut in a fetching trilby hat and coat, and the Cybermen wearing parka coats as a disguise on an Arctic base. It's true. That's what they did. For some reason, I thought that the Cybermen came first onto our screens, but on checking Wikipedia, the Cybernauts were the first to appear in October 1965. Wow, I didn't know that. With the Cybermen appearing a year later in October 1966, maybe it's because the Cybermen seem more original than Roger the Cybernaut. This got me thinking, folks. When you get Neil Allen thinking, this is what happens. The Cybermen and Cybernauts have never appeared together on screen. My idea is to show a more lighter side to these unstoppable killers. A Friends reboot with the Roger the Cybernaut moving into a house share together with everyone's favourite Cyberman, the Cyber Leader from Revenge of the Cybermen. The beacon is ours. Think of the fun those two could have together. It would be the cyber equivalent of Joey and Chandler. We'd need some more characters, obviously, so maybe we could introduce the Cyber Leader's rich friend, Magric the Vogon.
Oh, God.
Sorry, not Vogon. Vogon, yes. Magric, always coughing. My handkerchief. Sorry, it's a bit dirty. Magritte the Vogan with his planet of gold. We could keep his character's traits of coughing into a hanky and blame it on Vogan coronavirus, making his character bang up to date.
There we go.
It's very bad taste.
Contemporizing.
Maybe Roger could be a chef like Monica and bring the pleasure of a well-cooked meal to his mates in the house. Do you get that joke? I'm not going to explain it. Just like the Doctor kept banging on about it every time he met a Cyberman. There'd be some great character arcs with the Cyber Leader eventually embracing his emotions and Roger getting a different kind of hat to wear. And maybe go for a sad ending to the series with Magric succumbing to his cough and being shot into space on his beloved Sky Striker rocket, while Roger and the now very emotional Cyber Leader look on.
It's what he would have wanted.
What do you think, guys? Is it a green light on a Netflix series? Would Nick's contacts at Radio 4 manage to get me a meeting with the commissioning editor of BBC One? You know, because of the pandemic, I'm not doing Radio 4 Extra anymore. They seem to have cut the Seventh Dimensional. Well, they might not have cut it. They're just probably doing it without me.
That's because we're living in one.
Yeah. I said I could do it at home, you know, and they're kind of... it could be bigger than this year's big hit, Normal People. Yeah. I liked Normal People. Did you watch it?
Didn't watch it. Don't be silly.
Loving the pods and all the joy you bring me every Sunday, Neil.
Pleasure to have you. Thanks for sending in that email. Rock and roll.
That's good. Well, should we
it's time.
invite Shelley along?
I think we should.
I'm just going to tell her that we're going to invite her. Right. Hello, Shelley.
Welcome.
Hello, boys.
How's it hanging?
It's hanging good.
It hangs.
I could have gone in a really different direction with that, and I thought, you know what? I got to know my audience, so I'm going to just say it's hanging good.
So you've still got that rainbow thing out. I thought that was just for your birthday.
Rainbow.
It's good. It's a good feature. Yeah.
It's impressively stayed inflated as well. Superb.
It's not helium.
Oh, is it not? Okay.
No. I bought it at the dollar store, not knowing that it was like a helium balloon. But I happen to have a pump, an inflator thing for an exercise.
Brilliant.
I have an exercise ball that came with a pump, and it had a nozzle that fit, and so I'm the old.
Did the magic? Wow.
Yeah.
It was $1. I think it's $1 well spent.
Yeah, I love it. It's beautiful. So yeah, and it's not deflating at all. So, yay, my rainbow balloon.
That's really good. I'm particularly pleased that the word nozzle has featured in this podcast. I don't think we've heard it for some time.
Okay,
Enough nozzling going on, isn't there?
I can't remember saying nozzle on the Benji and Nick show.
All right, well, it's a first. Brought to you by Shelley Dean.
I feel quite moved.
Queen.
I'm quite moved.
Oh, hey-oh.
By the nozzle. Moved by the nozzle. So, we're talking about what we've been watching.
Yes.
So, would you like to go first, Shelley?
Would I? This is my first time doing this, so I'm not sure how it's supposed to roll.
Well, just tell us. I'll ask you questions.
Yes.
Did you say The Boys, or was
I
that?
said The Boys.
Okay, tell me about it, because I've forgotten what it's about.
Okay,
and where you can see it.
It's a show that's streaming on Amazon Prime Video, and it's in its second series.
Oh.
It just came out, just wrapped up. And it's about the world is full of a bunch of people with superpowers. And there's this corporation called Vought International that has decided to take it upon themselves to monetize, of course. What else do corporations do? They decided to monetize these superpowers.
Right.
And so they created this elite group, and they're called the Seven. And it's pretty much knockoff of like Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash. You know, everybody has their own specific superpowers.
How many people have superpowers? You may sound like everyone in the world does.
Loads and loads.
So is it unusual not to have superpowers?
Well, as the show goes on, you find out what is actually happening and why all these people have superpowers.
Right. So I'm spoiling it by asking that
I don't want
question.
to spoil it if people want to
What
watch
happens in the end?
So
last 15 minutes, please.
They take these. They make movies with them. They do commercials with them. They do TV. They just take every opportunity to market the heck out of these superheroes for their own benefit. And but on the flip side, these people who are the superheroes are actual, like, human garbage. They're horrible people, and
oh, really?
When they're not being paid to be superheroes, they're doing horrible things. And so it's like this.
What?
Just, killing people and raping people and harassing people. Yeah, horrible. Just,
right, okay, yeah, that's horrible. Yeah.
So
I think we could agree to that, can't we?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
There's this other set of people who have started like basically this vigilante group, and they call them, they're referred to as the boys. And pretty much all of them are somebody they've been hurt in some way by this company and the superheroes. So
it's really gory, isn't it? Think of that. It's like that, the bit where the Flash sort of character.
The very first episode.
Yeah, he just runs through a person.
Yeah, and it's slow motion. Like,
man, it's
the blood, like the body parts just start slowly hitting.
Oh my goodness!
And
it's really gory.
And there's
really
a lot
gory.
of sex and violence, and it's not for the young ones, for definite.
Okay.
And I actually read that they tone. It's based on a comic book. It's a comic book series,
right?
And I read that they actually had to tone it down from what the comic had, and I thought, holy crap, that's gotta be like bad if that's toned down.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the essence of the show is the there's a group of people fighting against the bad guys, and the bad guys just being bad guys, and it's an interesting take on the whole superhero thing. And then, and then just basically speaking to capitalism and abuse of power and all that good stuff that we've got going on in the world.
It's a weird one, because a friend of mine, she told me to watch it, and I said, look, I don't like superheroes.
Was that about this or just generally? She said, wait, watch it.
Watch it. I don't like superheroes at all. Apart from Batman, but
this could be for you because the superheroes aren't very nice.
Well, this is I watched it. I did watch it. I watched the first episode only about a couple of days ago, maybe just before.
You had mentioned it last week.
Yeah, I didn't get right to the end because the dog sat on the remote and turned it off. Which I don't know what it says about the dog's taste. But I have to admit,
you couldn't switch it back on again.
I just went off to work. But
the dog has spoken.
It's a very sorry tale, this, isn't it?
But I have to say, it's good. I liked it. I thought it was actually a little bit different. It's not afraid to be sort of its own beast, and I admired its boldness.
There's a lot of this comic strip adaptation for TV series going on, isn't there? Like the Umbrella Academy.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely.
I do like that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mate Benjamin Cook said it's all over the place, but it's actually rather wonderful. You have to get through the first series, I think.
Of Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, the first series is a bit variable, but the second series, we are up to the second series on it, aren't we?
Yes. And it's definitely, if you rewatch it, because I rewatched the whole first series before the second. The second series, I have all the time in the world. The second series premiered because I wanted to, because I don't trust my memory. I'll watch something and then the next week I'll be like, what? Who is that? What did they? So that's why binging is good for me, because it's like fresh in my mind.
Yeah. No, I get that. All right. No. Well, but it's on Amazon Prime, or whatever video, I don't know what they call it, and I won't be watching it because I'm not getting another subscription.
Yeah.
I've got Netflix and BritBox. Surely that's enough, isn't it?
You would think. But then you've got Apple TV, you've got NBC, Peacock now, you've got CBS All Access. I'm saying all American ones, but
yeah,
Hulu,
we don't get any of those.
Yeah, it's craziness.
No, I just can't. I don't like this future.
Yeah,
I don't like it. It's just wrong, isn't it? Isn't it, listeners, viewers? Isn't it wrong? I don't like it. Having to pay for every single little thing.
I've had Prime since before they did the video service.
Since before Amazon was invented.
Just before, back when it was called, I don't know, some other miscellaneous jungle-based thing. Prune, Amazon Jungle, the rainforest, I don't know. But I had it, Prime just to deliver stuff, and then they announced the service. And I have to say, controversially, I think Prime is actually really good. There's a lot of good stuff on there.
Everyone says it's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone
Because
say
they have
so.
all the money in the world to buy up all the great
stuff.
TV shows and movies, and then they have like their own studios now. I mean, Bezos is worth what, $800 trillion now or something. So
Yeah.
Is that the person in charge?
yeah,
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos.
Okay.
He's Mr.
funny.
Amazon. Yes.
Is that an American name, Bezos?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there is
Sounds
such a
American.
thing as an American last name because we all came from
I
somewhere.
realised why it sounded American. It's because you're American and you said it.
And I said
That makes
Bezos.
sense.
Bezos. Yeah, and Apple as well. Acetaminophen. Paracetamol. Look that up, folks. And Apple, I missed the years thing. I bought this lovely computer. And it said, you can have a free year of Apple TV. And I thought, I must do that. I didn't do it for over 3 months, and so I missed it.
Yeah.
So anyway, good old boys. That
Yes.
sounds interesting, I must say.
Yeah.
I suppose it adds a whole new meaning to when people say, let's have a quick run through.
Oh, yes.
Runs through
Splat.
someone.
Yes. And then the slow motion.
Yeah. Ted Lasso was your next thing, which sounds great.
Yes. Oh, have either of you gotten to see it? I know it's Apple TV, as we were just talking, but
Apple TV.
I
chance, no chance.
I know, but it's absolutely, it's not for everyone. Obviously, it's a sports-centric show, but at the same time, it's just got such heart and wholesomeness, and I love the silly, subtle humor. It's not like in your face, joke. But Jason Sudeikis, who is over here, he was on a show called Saturday Night Live. You may have heard of it. But he's absolutely, the premise of the show is it's a British football team who hires an American football coach. He's never coached soccer / football ever.
Yeah.
So she hires him because she just had a horrible divorce with her horrible ex-husband, played by Anthony Head, and who's wonderful at playing horrible.
Yeah. Or
And
Anthony Head, as we say.
Yes, yeah. Well, I knew him. He was Tony, so. Yes, he was a client of mine back in the day.
Yes, your voiceovers.
Yes, for voiceovers. So she hires this Kansas soccer or football coach, American football coach, to come over and coach this professional football team.
Why does she do that, given that it's a different game?
Because, and that's what I was, she wanted to stick it to her ex, because she got the team in the divorce, and he wanted the team, and so she wants to ruin it for him.
Right, so she might as well have got someone who was Tiddlywinks coach to come,
which is basically what she did.
Yeah, right.
Right. So
she's trying to ruin everyone's lives just to get revenge on her husband.
Yeah. So
she sounds nice.
The beautiful story of fish out of water in all the different ways, being the sport that he's coaching and the country he's living in. So for me personally, I love the whole an American in England trying to figure things out, because I spend 90% of my time with British people, so, and I've had to make that adjustment in certain, just in conversations, somebody will say something, and
we are weirds, aren't we?
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Quirks. Yeah.
All of you.
We like that, though. We like that, yeah. And we like pointing out the differences because it makes us feel like we're worth something.
Yeah.
There was a series, the name of which I can't remember, and it wasn't successful. It was only about 6 episodes. It had Rob Lowe playing an American policeman who comes over to run a constabulary in this country.
I do remember that.
Yeah,
I
with
remember
Anjali
this.
Mahindra is the person who was expecting it to get the job, and then they parachuted this crazy American in instead. And I really enjoyed it. I watched it all, but it never got renewed. It was an ITV series here. So
when was it?
There's some.
When was it?
A couple of years ago.
Was it a couple of years ago? A year ago? It's not.
Oh,
that
so
long
recently.
Ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was good, but no, just didn't get any traction. Yeah, so I like that vibe too, Shelley. I love that sort of fish out of water thing.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing is that, anyone who knows me knows that I hate sport. But I think sport is a really necessary thing in the world. I think we'd have a lot more wars if we didn't have sport. So it's important from that point of view. And I love people's passion about sport. So funnily enough, I quite like movies that are about sport, because the problem for me with sport is that you have to watch the entire game, which to me is just so dull. So in sport TV and movies, they just show you the exciting bits, don't they?
Yeah.
So I quite like that. I mean, Field of Dreams, that's a sport movie, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And that's a fun old movie, isn't it? Can't believe I'm saying it's old. It is old.
It is old.
I'm old. Shoot. Okay, I would give that a go. I mean, presumably, can you purchase it from Apple Television? Can you buy the series episode by episode?
Probably, I'm sure.
Well, that sounds good. I'll see if I can get hold of that one.
Yeah, so it's a very warm, lovely, happy, sweet show is what it is. And for now, like with everything going on in the world and how everyone's just feeling so about everything, it's just so nice to escape into a show that just, I don't know, it makes me feel good. It makes me happy when I watch it. So
is it an English show or is it an American show?
It's on Apple TV, so that is, I don't know. I mean, it's filmed over there. It's all Brits. A bunch of people.
Who's the guy?
It's Jason Sudeikis, and his assistant coach is also an American who came over from America as well.
Would I know Jason Sudeikis?
He's from Saturday Night Live. He was.
You said that.
Yeah,
he
did. But for movies, he did.
Down,
did
really.
you see Horrible Bosses with Jason Bateman? Okay. We're the Millers with Jennifer Aniston.
Do you know them? No.
Do you know those, Benj?
I thought Benji had gone into cryogenic suspension over there.
I honestly, I don't know.
Okay, well, those
Everybody
are two...
knows anything modern, I just don't know.
Yeah, so...
it's the truth.
Anything modern. The computer, central heating.
Yeah.
It's too modern.
It's just too modern for me. Give me
just
a nice wood-burning stove.
Yeah, like you've got one of those.
I have got a wood-burning stove.
Oh.
No.
There we go. Yeah, not so funny now, are you?
I have a fake fireplace.
Hey, we've got a wood-burning stove. We haven't used it yet, though. I'm frightened it's going to blow up.
They don't get a lot of use. They're a bit of a hassle, aren't they? They throw out a lot of warmth, though.
Do they?
It's very boring. This is the wood burning.
Yes,
it's
welcome.
perfect for you, Nick. It's ideal for you because you like a good bit of warmth.
I certainly do. I'm feeling pretty cold today. Farscape, Benji.
Farscape's a weird one. So I've been on a bit of a sci-fi kick lately. I can't remember if I actually did discuss Farscape the other day on the podcast. I just can't remember. But I've been watching a bit of that. Never seen it before. And I was actually pleasantly surprised by it. It's one of those shows that on paper it could either be rubbish or good. It's sort of, the classic thing. Guy works at NASA, who, quite frankly, let's be brutally honest, this main character apparently is some great scientist from NASA. He seems like an absolute pillock. Like he just, I wouldn't trust him to.
He's a beefcake, isn't he?
He's a complete beefcake. But you just think, how has this guy got a degree? How is like the American government trusting this bloke up in a spaceship? He's a complete buffoon. But anyway, he has some stupid equation which he decides to put to the test, and he ends up zipping all the way across the other side of the galaxy, universe sort of vibe, and ends up being engulfed by this alien spaceship full of strange aliens on the run from the sort of big evil villains. And a lot of them are sort of Jim Henson-like creations.
Muppets.
Puppets, which... Again, could be bad, but I actually think it's quite fun, and it's very impressive what they do with it. But I quite liked it. It's not perfect, and I think it would be.
Are you carrying on with it?
Ebbs and flows. Some days I fancy it, and other weeks I'll just think, nah, I can't be bothered. So it's definitely one of those. It's one of those I'll sit down and be like, I'll watch a bit of that. That's something to watch, rather than I yearn to finish work rush downstairs and watch it. I don't get that pleasure from it, really.
Right. Okay.
It's one of those, really.
You're not convincing me to go back and watch more. I caught it when it was being run on the BBC. I kept catching it from time to time and maybe watched a sequence of 3 episodes here and there, but always feeling like I was a bit out of the loop, and you know what I mean? A bit like someone was telling a joke that I wasn't quite in on.
I'll be brutally honest. The
like
only real reason I'm watching it is 'cause it's on Prime, and the second reason is because I wanted to watch Firefly, and they didn't have it on there without having to pay.
And it begins
for it,
with an F. Yeah.
And it begins with where it just said, "If you like Firefly, you'll love Farscape." So I was like, "I'll go on then."
So I've not seen Farscape ever. So no.
It's one of those ones you might like it, but I wouldn't write home about it. It's very bog standard.
Why are you wasting our time with it then?
Well, I just mentioned what I was watching recently.
You asked the question, Nick. I don't know.
Now, what I want to talk about
Yes.
is I'm watching Star Wars, the despecialized versions, and
have they been specially despecialized, or you've just sought them out?
They've been specially despecialized. So basically, for those that don't know, or those that have just never thought about it, the Star Wars films, since their release, they've been massively modified by George Lucas. He's added so many things into them. And it started off, in the early days, it started off as there were a few shots of like spaceships and stuff that he felt he couldn't achieve with the technology at the time, but they were in the storyboards. So things like spaceships flying overhead, it was just too difficult and things like that. And so he went back for the first, I saw that, Nick, for the first release. And did these shots in CGI instead. And so that, to start with, was fine, and I think that's cool. But of course, it's now got completely out of hand. There's CGI.
Is it like those filters where everyone's got ears and glasses and moustaches now?
It might as well be, because everything's different. They're adding in details all the time, adding in stupid comedy monsters that are doing, in the background, distracting you.
Can't leave it alone, is what you're saying.
Return of the Jedi, they changed the two songs. The song at the start in the club where they're all dancing around, just a completely different song, and a complete horrible dated CGI monster. The song
how
at the
do you
end,
change a song with CGI?
you just cut out that scene, and they've just done so many things to it that it sort of just became a bit like, I got a bit fed up with it. I was like, what?
It just seems to me like to be such a money grab, like to alter something that was fine, and then saying, hey, we're going to re-release this, so you're going to have to pay again, and then we're going to do it again and again and again. It's just that kind of thing bothers me. I feel like it's just, okay, you got my money.
Well, the irony is, I really believe that he believes he is like adding to this great. I think he really believes it's what he wants to be doing. But the interesting thing about this money grab is, it is impossible for you to purchase the original versions of these films in a modern format. Even since the first home video release, things have always been modified. And so it seems so strange, given that there are fans out there, that they won't just release them as they were.
Yeah, surely that would be another good cash grab.
But they haven't done that. And so what these despecialized versions are, is that fans, the wonderful fan communities out there, have sourced every single possible release, every tiny 35mm film clip, and of course throughout all the releases there are bits they have done things to. It's such a mess what they've changed and what they've left in, and then sometimes they haven't put things in, sometimes they have, and so they've cut all these bits, spliced it together to present the films in their original way, in a high quality medium. And I tell you something, watching it is just brilliant. Why they feel the need to meddle with these films, I don't know, because they look brilliant. So, films released in the 70s to early 80s, and it still looks fantastic.
I mean, it's so unlike you to like things from the past, Benji.
Yeah, I know. You know me. I don't even know what a VHS is. But honestly, even I was trying to view it kind of objectively, and to understand why they would make these changes. But honestly, I was there like, you don't need all this stuff.
Well, I think, to be fair, to play devil's advocate, I'm just doing visual things for the video, you know. And by the way, the funny noise in the background is something to do with what's happening in America behind Shelley.
The landscapers are right outside, and they are leaf blowing.
Oh, classic.
So it might get really loud, and I will do my best to turn my mic down.
It'd be brilliant if the leaves just come flying through.
Then you end up blowing away or something.
They were doing it before, like earlier today, and I thought, oh, they'll be done. They'll be done by the time we start recording, and then I just heard them go, "Rrrr." I was like,
oh, God.
Darn it.
Classic.
Now,
So I apologize.
No, it's fine. I just thought I'd explain in case people thought there was something wrong with it.
Say
Hitting their
something.
computers like, there's something wrong with the blooming thing. You know, to play devil's advocate, George Lucas obviously thought, look, I can do more to fulfill my vision. This is, if I had this technology available to me at the time, this is the stuff I would have done. But maybe a little bit of adjustment was all right. I remember going to see, I think the first film was released in the cinema, re-released in the cinema, and I remember going to see it one Saturday morning at a special preview with a bunch of my friends, and sort of going, oh yeah, that's fun. It seemed, you know, when you've invented a new thing like CGI, I didn't invent CGI, I'm just saying. It's sort of, I don't know, you want to put it everywhere, don't you? And a lot of people, for example, to go from the sublime to the ridiculous, a lot of people have asked me if I would redo The Sirens of Time, which is the first Big Finish Doctor Who audio drama. Because, of course, I do it completely differently now and hopefully a lot better. You know, and I just think, and I think, do you know what? Leave it alone.
Things are, you know, sometimes it's one of those things. It's like, is it going to really make much of a difference in the grand scheme of things? And is it going to improve it? Because I think with this particular thing, does it improve it? Maybe in its early days, yes, you get some great things. Some scenes have been put back in that they simply cut because they couldn't do it back in the original, like the Han Solo meets Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, well, they just had a big fat bloke, didn't they?
They just had, some big fat Irish man.
It's the guy from the Androids of Tara.
Just bring him in. Why not?
Fourth Doctor Adventure going, the Master's come in. Yeah, him.
Yeah, it's mad. But, you know, and so in for things like that, yes.
He's also in the Sea Devils, I just thought I'd throw in as well.
What as Jabba the Hutt?
Yes,
just again.
Yeah. Hello. Jabba the Sea Devil.
Jabba the Devil. But, yeah, for just stuff
Jabba
like
the Devil, you know. Sorry, what?
Just better. I just think with little things like tiny little creatures running around distracting you from the drama, I just don't care, and it just irritates me. But hey ho,
quite cross.
You know,
quite cross.
It's little things as well, like for example, like the Emperor when he's talking to Vader.
Yes.
They refilmed it with the current Emperor doing his bit, and then not only did they refilm it, put it in, they then refilmed that scene again and to do another performance of it, and then put that on another DVD. It's like this constant, like, I'm just not, like, there's one where he's being evil, and then they refilmed him to be even more evil, and you're like, why just you know,
the original Emperor was a different actor, was he? I thought it was always the same actor.
Yeah, the original Emperor actually was completely different to the Emperor in the third film. He had a disfigured, if you look at it, he had an eye like up here. And, like, he had a really disfigured face. It was really odd. But yeah, he was gone by the third film anyway.
So they went back and corrected that, as it were.
They went back and corrected, but the fact that they corrected their corrections for no real reason other than
because
just,
if you correct your corrections that have already been corrected, then who's going to correct the corrections that were corrected when the ones were corrected before?
Absolutely correct.
I mean,
you know,
very good.
So that's what I've been really enjoying. I've just been enjoying watching something that I know very well.
Yeah.
In a way that perhaps I don't know as well, which is lovely.
Well, I've mentioned before that I've been watching the Avengers.
Certainly have.
The Tara King ones, because it's, you know, common wisdom, accepted wisdom that the Diana Rigg
Norman
ones.
Wisdom's brother, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Mr. Grimsdale. That the Diana Rigg, Emma Peel ones are the best. And so I had fallen into the trap of thinking the Tara King ones weren't any good, having not seen them in a long time. I'm going back, and I still love the Emmett Peel stuff. You know, we saw the Cybernauts the other week, didn't we? And we really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
she's so stylish
very good.
and everything. But I think Tara King is great, actually. She's a completely different character. She's much more sort of kooky and innocent. And she made 30-something episodes. And I'm on about episode 29 now. I have to say that I do struggle with some of them. You kind of work out what the conceit of the story is, you know, that someone, say, is making people think they're in a dream, and they think that they're just exorcising a demon by stabbing a dummy with someone's face pasted to it. But actually, of course, they're doing it in real life, and they think they're in a dream. And, you know, when you come around to the third person they're doing it to, and it's all mysterious, and we're still not supposed to understand it, you're kind of screaming like, I get it! Stop giving me examples and make the plot move forward! And there's also Edward Fox, of all people. I think it's Edward Fox, one of the Foxes anyway, the old ones, is a guy who really fancies Tara King. And he gets really jealous that Steed keeps turning up and taking him away. And you think, they're obviously going to make him dream to kill Steed. Can you just get... I haven't seen this episode before. If I have, I don't remember. But I know immediately what's going to happen.
But then maybe one could say that maybe we know all these things very well because of, you know, we're so conditioned to watching television now.
Yes.
Maybe at the time it might not have been so obvious.
Maybe. But you make a very persuasive point there, Benji.
But no, you're completely right. Definitely, you know.
But it's, yeah, I find that frustrating. But I still love it. I still love the style of it. And it changes a lot. You know, there are lots of shenanigans behind the scenes about different producers taking over, even though the whole series goes out with Albert Fennell and Brian Clemens' name on. There's a lot of, you can tell it changes. Tara King's character is completely different by the end of the series from what it was at the beginning. But I'd really recommend it. It's on BritBox in the UK, folks. Yeah. It's not on BritBox in America because there are different licensing arrangements all over the world. So I'm enjoying that and still ploughing through it. I watched Gangster Squad because, you know, I've been trying to write a script, which I have now finished, which I'm so relieved about, that I was having real angst over. And so I just needed to, I kept sort of trying to find things to watch so I could just empty my brain and just relax. And so I went on Netflix one day and late one evening, I was just trying to select films, and I gave them all about 2 minutes. I go, no, I don't like kids. Forget that. It's a ship. I don't want a ship. You know. And eventually, I just saw the beginning of Gangster Squad, which is a horribly violent macho movie. You know, about defeating the first scene is Sean Penn as a gangster villain who has two vehicles tear a man in two, and then he says to the other guys who are absolutely crapping themselves at this point, he says, "You go back and tell them that I'm the guy in charge here," you know, all that kind of stuff. And then of course Josh Brolin turns up. I've got a lot of time for Josh Brolin. Are we okay with that?
Don't even know who he is, mate.
I love Josh Brolin.
He's amazing, isn't he?
Yes.
There's something about that kind of actor. It's like Gene Hackman. They're people who I would be terrified to meet or work with. I think that they would be horrific, but I just love to watch them because they have such a strength, don't they? And Josh Brolin is so brilliant in this as the kind of guy who is so honourable. He cannot be corrupt. The whole police force is corrupted, and he runs this squad to get rid of the gangster. There's just a lot of unpleasant killing and stuff, you know. I really enjoyed it. Check your brain in at the door, really.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen that either. So, or if I have, it was because that was a while ago, right?
I think it was. Yeah, it was just the result of me going, no, not that, not that, not that, and I just thought, I now don't care what I select. Something's got to interest me within the first couple of minutes, and that was that. Yeah. What do you think, Benji? Do you think you'll give it a go?
I might give it a go if I've got the time. Okay. Definitely.
Yeah. The other things I'll run through quickly. Wallander I was watching. I was really ploughing through it and absolutely loving it with Kenneth Branagh playing the Swedish detective. And then I got to a point, the second to last episode, I think it is, where a woman who he'd had a bit of an affair with before, he's very unlucky in love, Wallander. He spends the entire thing completely depressed and
it never works out, does it really?
Oh, it's all terrible. But he met this woman who was the wife of a colleague of his from another country who gets killed, and they have a bit of a thing. And then, like a series later, she suddenly turns up out of nowhere. And you just know, I just said to Steph, she's gonna. That's my wife, in case you don't know, folks. I said everything's going right. It's so moving the way it's going right, and you know she's gonna die, and I know it's coming, and I just can't. I stopped watching it because I just thought I can't bear to see this because it is going to destroy him, and the series does have a very particular ending. So anyway, I might get back to that. It's on Netflix. It'll probably be gone by the time I try it again. There's a thing called, I think it's called La Révolution. Have you seen that on Netflix? I'm going to check it because I can't remember.
I've heard about it though.
Can you see me all right, by the way? It's got very dark in here.
Oh yeah, we can see you. And if you can notice, the sound is gone now.
It's free.
But while you're doing that, after you had mentioned Wallander, I was on Netflix myself doing something, and it just came out in 2020. It's called Young Wallander.
Oh yeah, I know. I watched the first 5 minutes of that and thought it was terrible.
Okay, yeah. So I saw that and I thought, wait, Nick was just talking about that, and so
Wallander works because it's Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, okay.
That's why it works.
And what are you saying?
La Révolution. Yeah. What's the...
La Révolution.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah.
It's on our Netflix too.
Yeah, I'm watching the dubbed version because I can't be bothered with the subtitles.
Oh.
I'm pretty certain that Miranda Raisin, who does a lot of Big Finish work, is playing... It's basically an alternative history thing about the French Revolution, which involves a zombie plague. Is pretty much what it's
that's
about.
Up my
sort
alley.
of.
Of course it does. Yeah,
I would watch it
plague.
if you can bear the dubbing. Yeah, I find I have to just watch people until the bottom of their nose, and the dubbing is very, very well done, and the voices are good. Miranda Raisin plays the voice of the lead character, who unfortunately, and this will go straight over Shelley's head, looks like Cheryl Cole.
Okay.
But she's this French aristocrat who looks like Cheryl Cole and sounds like Miranda Raisin. It's really confusing me. But it is a very compelling story. And I would, I'm 3 episodes in and really liking that. Recommend that. And then there's a thing on the BBC written by David Hare, who's one of this country's most renowned playwrights, brilliant playwright. I was brought up on reading David Hare plays at drama school. An Absence of War, I think, was one of his great plays he wrote.
David Hare piece. Sorry. Have you seen that David Hare piece? Couldn't resist. Sorry. Terrible gag.
He also wrote a thing called Collateral, which was a series on the BBC a couple of years ago, which
I remember
our friend Rick Davey absolutely hates, what I think is a fantastic piece of work.
Collateral.
Which has Jeannie Spark actually playing the sort of assassin in it. And it's got loads of people, Nicola Walker and Billy Piper and John Sims, and that's brilliant. Roadkill stars Hugh Laurie as a kind of corrupt conservative politician in this country, post-Brexit. And he is up to his neck in corruption. And somehow he's the compelling main character. And every episode I think I've watched 3 now, every episode introduces a whole raft of other characters. He's such a confident dramatist. He just crowds in all the characters and you keep thinking, who's this? So anyway, interesting, very interesting. I would recommend that. It's running on BBC on Sunday nights at the moment, but it's all available on the BBC iPlayer.
Okay.
Well, there we go. Get on that one,
right.
Especially if it's up on the iPlayer.
Yeah.
And you guys don't have to pay for that, right? That's not an extra...
So far, we don't have to pay for it. Yeah.
If you have a TV license, then
yeah. Don't worry, they'll switch it. They're making it so you have to sign in and everything, and so one day they go, actually, that's $4.99 a month, folks.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen when the Conservative government get rid of the license fee. Yeah. It is a very good service, the iPlayer. I mean, it is fantastic. The BBC have news channels, and they do an immense amount, and all of it is available on demand. It's a fantastic deal. And it's how things should be. It's incredible. And the BBC show movies as well. And all the movies they show are on there. So you get a load of free movies as well.
But are they showing commercials?
Nope.
While you're watching that?
No commercials.
Nope.
Wow.
No.
Only commercials for their own things.
Well, there's
like
a trailer at the
okay.
beginning. That's all. You don't get
a lot
commercial
of these,
breaks.
Yeah, a lot of these free streaming services, they're free because advertisers are paying them.
Oh, well, that's what we have with, like the ITV player and the Channel 5 player and the Channel 4 player. There are embedded adverts and you cannot get past them.
Oh, yeah, you cannot fast forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't watch those. What I do is that I just set my recorder on television to record those things on other channels. But by and large, I'm not going to watch anything that's on a commercial channel. It's terrible, isn't it? Because I can't.
In the same way.
I don't want people screaming adverts at me. But people, younger people are much, much better at zoning out or just going, oh yeah, well, whatever. Apparently on YouTube, those adverts that we all skip, younger people watch them. They just think, well, what is it? I'll just have a look. They're much more tolerant because that's the kind of world they've been brought into. The world I've been brought up in tells us that adverts are intrusive and annoying, but once they're part of...
People are just used to it. You're just conditioned to it now.
The only context in which adverts were exciting was going to the cinema. Must watch the adverts, you say. You get there, because they're on a big screen and in colour,
Whereas now it's like, oh, I don't mind if we're a bit late. It says it starts at 6, but to be honest, probably get down there for 6:45, and that's when it will start.
Once upon a time, cinema adverts were different to TV adverts in this country. You see, it was a whole different level of advertising. It was much more expensive, much more lavish, made specially for the cinema.
There aren't adverts at the cinema here.
Wow, isn't that weird?
We have trailers. They just show us trailers. I mean, like if you get in there before, I've noticed they kind of do some tie-in kind of, like, oh, there's Coke products available at the, concession stand or whatever.
Oh, we get that as well, yeah.
Yeah, but not the biggest time I think around in America, and I'm going back to sports here for commercials, is the Super Bowl, which is the final battle of American football teams. It's the head, whoever wins the most.
I knew it was something to do with sports.
Yeah, so it's called the Super Bowl, and it's funny because a lot of people will only watch the Super Bowl for the commercials because it's the one time a year that every company puts out their best advert and they spend a ton of money. It's like $1 million for like 60 seconds or something. I don't even know. That might be completely wrong, but
it's a lot.
It's crazy expensive.
Could be, yeah.
So if you're launching like a TV show, isn't it, or a movie, so you launch it at the Super Bowl, you do it that way. It is awesome.
The BBC have tried to do something a bit like that. They quite often trail a new series of Doctor Who in the middle of the FA Cup final or something, don't they? Yeah.
Well, the tennis, wasn't it? Find out who the new Doctor is when you watch the tennis.
The tennis.
So here's me like, right,
the tennis elbow.
So I better watch the tennis. Only made slightly better by seeing Philip Hinchcliffe in the crowd.
Really, old producer of Doctor Who from 1975. Shelley,
just in the crowd of Wimbledon.
Hanging out. Good Lord.
Anyway, I suppose we better pull this to a close.
Yeah. What are we going to do next time? We're going to do Inferno, aren't we? Another episode of Inferno.
I think we should keep that.
What episode are we on?
Yeah. 3 now. Episode 3.
I'm glad you're keeping count.
I was going to say 2, but then I'm like, wait, no, we did get to 2.
No, we're on episode 3
Will there be
now.
any poo marks on the walls in Inferno?
Find out next time on the Benji and Nick Show.
Time to get close to the microphone.
Certainly is. Well, from me, it's goodbye.
And from me, Nick Briggs, it's goodbye.
And from me, Shelley Dean, it's bye.
Pressing stop now.